Hello, good folks of the vinyl community. This is Mike, PC31, the vinyl policeman. Back to this is my entry into one of the contests which has been put up. This is the contest that Richard McCook's actually posted to celebrate his 3 years in the VC. So go on over to Richard's channel and subscribe if you haven't already. 3 questions, and the first one is Richard's asked to select 3 of your favourite bands and to pick out your most favourite album and your least favourite album. And my first one is pretty straightforward one for me, actually. Best album, The Clash, London Calling, from December 1979, released in the UK, January 1980 in the US. Fantastic double album, one of my favourites, one of my top 10 albums. And least favourite Clash album, really easy, 1985, Cut the Crap. Not a very good album, produced by Bernie Rhodes, who was Clash's manager, and I think probably a much better manager than he was a producer. And I know even Joe Strummer, a couple of weeks after this, I think he was really disappointed with this album and dissolved the Clash, with, I'd say, within a few weeks of this coming out. But there's a few good tracks on it, actually, and this album does grow on you, but compared to the other albums that the Clash made, the 5 albums before this, it's no comparison. So that's an easy favourite, London Calling, and least favourite, Cut the Crap. Second one, and I know Richard has been asking a question on YouTube about this recently, and again, this is quite an easy one for me. The Police, and my favourite album, Outlander Some More, their debut album, which is absolutely fantastic, and this really takes me back to very young days and parties and just having a really great time. I mean, Roxanne, So Lonely, Can't Stand Losing You, Born in the 50s, just absolutely superb songs on this one. The only one which is not quite so good is the one which Andy Summers penned, but the rest of the album is so strong, really superb. And my least favourite Police album is Zenyatta Mondata from 1980. I think it was their 3rd studio album, but much too poppy, I think they became by this time, and they really had their eyes on the charts, and don't think the material is anywhere near as strong, and for me that's their weakest album. My third group, one of my favourites, the best album of theirs, and there is so much to choose from, but from 1968, and it's the Kinks are the Village Green Preservation Society. This is, although this album didn't yield any singles as such, no singles at all, I don't believe, it's an absolutely fantastic concept album. There's some just brilliant numbers on here, and for anybody who hasn't really given this a good listen, I really would encourage them to, because Big Sky, Johnny Thunder, this Last of the Great Steam Engines, just so many fantastic songs on this one, obviously and the Village Green Preservation Society, but this is a really great, strong album from start to finish. And my least favourite of theirs, the Kinks obviously went through this deep concept, or Ray Davies went through this real concept period from about 72 to about 74, I think it was. And one of the albums from then, which I think is just really poor, I've never got on with it, is Soap Opera. Soap Opera, that's from 1975. So yeah, it's really is during this period where Ray Davies went deep into concepts with Preservation Part 1, Part 2, Schoolboys in Disgrace, all that kind of thing. And for me, that's the weakest period. I've got this one, although that album doesn't work for me at all, I still picked up the Kinks Soap Opera Live, and I think it's dreadful. I think it's a shocking album, but who knows, there may be some fans. But that's my least favourite Kinks album. Richard's second question was albums that you have on CD that you really want on vinyl, and not in the top 3, but one to mention, can't really pick it up I don't think, is Metallica, the Black Album. Haven't got that on vinyl. I really must get that one day. But the 3 albums which I chose in this category were Killing Joke's 2003 album, just called Killing. They called their debut album Killing Joke, and this one was also called Killing Joke. This one was actually produced. There's some notables on this because this one was produced by a Gang of Four's Andy Gill, who passed away in 21 through COVID, as I mentioned before. But Andy Gill actually produced this. And one of the huge things about it is the drummer on it is Dave Grohl from the Foo Fighters, Nirvana and Foo Fighters. And he didn't get any pay from this at all. He heard the demo tracks. I think originally Killing Joke wanted to bring in several drummers who they really liked. But when Dave Grohl heard the demos, he said, no, I'm doing it all and I don't want paying. So Dave Grohl absolutely loves this album. But it's a good album. I'd love to have this on vinyl. So one day I will. Second album is the Verve, their 3rd album from '97, Richard Ashcroft, who I really like. Haven't got this on vinyl. And this is the one which has got Bittersweet Symphony and Sonnet, Lucky Man, some great tracks on it. That's one I'd love to get. And my 3rd one in this category is Radiohead's OK Computer. My favourite album of theirs is The Bends, which I've got on vinyl. But this one, I think it's, for me, a bit of a must-have on vinyl, I think. But whenever I see it, it's really, really expensive. But I must get hold of that one day. Okay, so OK Computer, Radiohead. And OK Computer comes from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. That's where they got the name from. And the 3rd category that Richard's chosen, which seems to be the most controversial when I've seen different people posting on this one, is bands that I only need the best of. And when I sat down and started to think about this, I actually thought of quite a few. The ones that didn't make it but could have easily made it are U2, although I've got a number of their albums, got several, because I was really into them at the time they come out, but I just don't play them at all now. And U2, just the greatest hits would do me. I've got a lot of Morrissey albums, and Morrissey, not the Smiths, but Morrissey, the solo albums, I probably could just do with the greatest hits, although I've got a lot of his. But the 3 I've chosen where I only need a best of. First one, I'm a bit reluctant because I really, really like this band, but I'm kind of happy with the Greatest Hits album. But they're a fantastic band. Mott the Hoople, Ian Hunter's Mott the Hoople. And this Greatest Hits album, just, they're all on there. It's a terrific album. I do play it quite a lot, but just never had a desire to delve deep into their archive and buy any more. Probably will one day. So I do like them, but yeah, that does for me at the moment. This is where we probably start to get a bit more controversial. Eric Clapton. So I've got the complete Eric Clapton, which covers Cream, Derek and the Dominoes, covers the whole period kind of thing. And I don't actually mean the different bands he was in, Yardbirds, etc. But this solo work, kind of, again, I've got a few of his albums. I actually saw Eric Clapton in the 80s and I wasn't very impressed. But a Greatest Hits kind of does me so much. I've got 2 Greatest Hits by him. So Eric Clapton. And my 3rd one is the Foo Fighters, where again, quite like the Foo Fighters, but not enough to buy their whole catalogue. As I do a lot of bands, I tend to chase down all their albums. But with the Foo Fighters, quite happy to have State Limited and a Greatest Hits, a best of album, kind of is quite enough for me. Okay, Richard, that's my entry into your terrific competition. And again, please subscribe to Richard. 3 years in the VC, so congratulations on that. I was going to emulate Martin, the vinyl scavenger, and wear my football shirt, which would be Pompey, Portsmouth, after seeing him in his Arsenal shirt, but I didn't. Anyway, till the next time, thanks very much.